All right, there we go. It all works. So the screenshots I shared with you guys earlier was actually the level was out here, something like this. And you can see these lower highs. So that's that descending wedge. And then wait for the breakout. And this level down here is the target area, zooming to the back or scrolling back to the left. You can see this was resistance, got messy, and then the buyers came in and went. So I figured if I'm going short, the buyers came in here and again in this area. So I'm going to take off the short over there. So that was the idea that I was thinking at the time. And the chart looks something like this. So price action was in this area. But here's where the fun really happened, I think. More into the fractal pattern stuff. So these levels, you have them. I'm going to put one more on. You can see what happened here. Right about there. Whoop, right there. Gosh. I got to learn how to draw straight lines someday. Look at this right here. You have support and lower highs, which is basically another descending wedge inside of this bigger descending wedge. So a little more complex form of a fractal pattern, right? More like fractal wedges, if you like to call it that. That's pretty much what I saw. So I started paying attention to this level right here. I put this on, and the price action came back up to it. And that's when I started to get interested in the short. And I entered it short over here. And then the news came out and it dropped straight into the target and went beyond a bit. So that was the trade. It was basically a breakout, the retest, and off you go, which was basically, again, a fractal pattern or a smaller descending wedge inside of a bigger descending wedge. And of course, I didn't anticipate the news to come out, and I was just going to hold it until the target. But the news came and it just went fast. It happened in one 15-minute candle, so happy about that. Don't have to sit here for 8 hours with this thing. So that was it. Basically, a fractal pattern, retest, breakout, nothing else really. But also, the bigger wedge is all valid. You can just get into the breakout here if you like. But this is a breakout. This is not the retest. This did not do a retest. It just went straight down. So I would have struggled to get into this. I prefer to enter it like this, where the breakout already happened, and then you catch the retest. So let's look at the 1 second chart. We can probably find where all this happened earlier. Way back. Right there. Was it there? No, wait. I'm all confused. Yeah, so that was a target. That was the entry area. And yeah, so 1 second chart's a mess. Anyways, as it goes through the level, that's the breakout happening, and then the retest. You can see it pretty much respects the level, right? And plenty of opportunities to catch the short. If you look at shorts, this one right here, the last one, is a perfect double top. You have on this chart, you have a very bullish piece of action and a very neat looking double top, where you have the top and then a nice gap, and then the lower top, bit of an odd one here, but the lower top, and the entry could be as the price is going down. It's typically where I would enter, probably in this area, the stop right above it, and then it just went. So that is a perfect entry. Here I would struggle to enter because I don't see any reversal setup, and then you get it to go pop up and come back. Very tricky. Let's see what else. Here might be interesting. You'd look at this as a consolidation. Break and retest didn't quite happen. Yeah, this would be tricky. See, this is a two tops here as well, but it's not a double top. It's all just in a downtrend, and then it makes a higher high. So it's all messed up. Can't rely on this. You would look at this perhaps as a double top and enter short here with a stop here, but I don't think I was looking at this at the time. Yeah, this was way earlier. So the time that I got in was, yeah, just about in this area. So this was nice, one attempt, and it worked right away. So you get in, firstly, with the big RVR. So the target was down here. You can see the entry and the stop, and then the target. So it's like 20 to 1. And then adding in got tricky, just because it was really moving fast. So the entry up in this area, I believe here I moved it to break even. It was probably down here, you can see this. Once it got into this support area, that's when I'm at break even. So the stops at break even then. because there were buyers here, they could be right back in there and push back up, right? So no need to risk it. So that's break even. And then you have a good old ABCD pattern. In this case, usually, I don't mind catching breakouts here. So if you're looking at this ABCD pattern, you get a breakout. You can put the add in right there, enter there, and tighten up the stop. And I'm a little more aggressive with entering these ads than I am with the initial entry because I'm not adding risk. I'm just adding size. So the stop's up there, and then you can just bring it over here, basically double your size. And that's the idea. Just keep going with that. This one was interesting. I remember this one where it goes sideways and then it gave you this reverse hammer. So after that reverse hammer, I brought the stop in to here and added up in this area. So now the size is probably triple of what I started. That was an interesting one. I'm not sure I added after that because this area got choppy. Maybe I did one more over here. I can't remember. And then it went pretty quickly. So there you go, 40R, no big deal, huh? It was about 40R. I risked, I think 450 or $500 and came out with like $22,000 or 21,000, something like that. About 40R. So that's it. Not too complicated. It's nice when you can get one or two of those in a week, right? And then you don't need to do anything else. Not too motivated to trade after that. And going back to the 15-minute, yeah, it's been a mess. That's the drop, and then every candle is overlapping the previous candle, right? So you just don't want to touch it. But anyways, this is something different. I don't think I've talked about this much before. This is a fractal pattern within a consolidation. I've always talked about fractal patterns as support and resistance levels, breakouts, or reversals. This is something else. So something a little different. I don't do these often. I do it when I see it. Today I happen to see it. So it's a good one, fun one. It worked out. Cool, Brian. See you later, man. But anyways, yeah, since then I don't see what the hell the market wants to do. This whole drop happened because of the war news or Trump news or whatever's going on. Since then, nothing. Anyone get into anything? Anything fun? I'm here for probably another 5 minutes. I gotta run. So, anyone got anything to discuss? You know what's interesting? I put the level down here. This is a target area. This is not an entry area. If I'm looking at fractal patterns for an entry down here, I don't. I'd look firstly. I'd look at the price action is coming down. Just immediately to the left, you have this one. This is the first one, right? Then you look to the left from there, and you're trying to see, was this even interesting? You can see that it was. You have generally a resistance area and then generally support. You can push it up a little bit. You can see right there the buyers came in. So it's this whole area. So if I was interested in an entry, I'd put the level right about there and think of this whole area. And if you look at this 15-minute picture, it's a decent looking double bottom. You have the bottom, and the second one's higher up. You have a little space in between, and you can go. It's not ideal. I'd like it to take longer to form, but hey, it's there. And as always, I always tell you this is a reversal, and with a reversal, it's always choppier than a breakout. Look at this. This is a breakout. Here's your breakout. Here's a retest. Off you go. And it was pretty much clean. Of course, the news was there that helped it along. But here on a reversal, it's always more complicated. So it's more difficult to add into your trades, add into your positions. You have to be more conservative with it. And sure enough, that's what we have today, again. Of course, reversals, what's interesting is once you get in, you get naturally big RVR compared to the breakouts. So there are pluses and minuses, but hey, you gotta trade it as you like. I prefer these breakouts if I can catch them, great. Or rather retest of the breakouts, which is right here, this little one. And yesterday we were looking at this reversal, came down and went up. This one happened without the setup I like to see. Double bottom, but again, not a great one. Just like today, just not big enough, not enough space in it to be trustworthy. On the other side of it, you could look at this whole thing as a consolidation, break and retest and go. There's that. But it's not clean, because if you're really doing that, you're putting the level right there. You're saying that that's resistance. You have momentum going through it. And the retest It happened, but it came right into the level, and it took about 45 minutes of messing around and then go. So not too clean. I'm glad I wasn't watching it. I may have attempted this long once or twice if I was watching it. And it looks like I would have been stopped out a couple times here. Anyways, that's all. That's all I'm looking at. Everyone good? You all know what you're doing? You know how to trade? Catching all this stuff. Don't watch the market too much. This is not the kind of day you want to watch the market. This will just drive you crazy. You'll see these wicks up and down. You'll think there's resistance up here. The moment it pops into this area, you'll attempt a short, then we'll go up from there. Or right now, you'll think this is a breakdown. It's just a false breakdown, perhaps. It's just a mess. Wait for it to exit this whole area, I'd say. This is how I know when not to show up and go do other things. Basically no room to the left. So, yeah, time to go do other things. All right. Cool. Well, I'm off. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad I was able to
Thanks,
pop in
Avi.
for a few minutes. Yeah.
Cool.
Take it easy, guys. Yeah, Parsa's not going to be here today, but tomorrow he'll be back. And I'll try and pop in again as well tomorrow.
All
So
right.
take it easy, guys.
Good
Thanks a
day.
lot.
Good night.
Have a good day.